For Anatomy and Physiology Assignment 1.06, in groups we made real-life to scale replicas of human bones. In our group project, we choose to make the ulna and radius, two bones that make up your forearm. Specifically, the ulna and radius reside as bones under the humerus bone or the upper arm, but also above the wrist and hand.
The materials we used to make the ulna and radius were used newspaper, cardboard, tape, and glue. We used newspaper for the outside layer of the bones because of its flexibility and smooth texture compared to the cardboard. Cardboard was probably the most used out of all the materials. Cardboard provided us with a tough second layer and a transferable filling that was both strong and didn't take up that much space. Also, the cardboard's top side had appearance of bone markings or blood vessels like within the bones. The other materials such as tape or glue were just to hold the bones together.
For our first test, we proved whether our bone can withstand a textbook or even multiple of them, like we did in our case using 3. We did this with both of our bones. First try. The second test was to see if whether or not our bone could protect a soft object, like an egg. To show the protective ability of our bone, we first inserted the egg in the bone, along with our bone filling. And after that, the textbooks were set atop of the bone with the egg inside. We then removed the book and filling, and the egg was perfectly unharmed with the protection of our bone.
The components of real bone tissue we include in our model list the outside of the bone. The dual layer periosteum and a layer of bone primarily made of calcium foci. We show the dual layer periosteum with a newspaper around our bone. Also, the layer of the dense bone of calcium foci appears as a series of concentric rings of bony material called the osteum, and all this is shown to the cardboard.
The components of real bone tissue we had trouble showing in our bone model were specifically the most centered components of the bone, like the marrow, and also the osteocyte, osteoblast, and osteoclast.
The role of osteocytes, osteoblasts, and osteoclasts in bone repair include construction and the mending of the bone. Osteoblasts generate the bone shape and filling. Osteocytes are the filling that is derived from osteoblasts after sticking onto the original bone tissue already there. Osteoclasts then move along on the top of the repairing structure to make sure the shape and density of the bone is just right, then recycles the extra bone cells into blood. Some of the limitations of our project include showing the bone's functions, shaping the bone, and our schedules. We mostly had trouble with showing the inside parts of the bone, like the nerves and the different muscles inside of the bones, and the process in which our body heals the bones. Shaping the bone into actual radius or ulna in exact detail was also very difficult. Lastly, our schedules were in conflict in themselves because we couldn't meet up like other groups, and we weren't always able to be right next to each other to give advice or discuss about problems.
If we had to redesign our group's model, we would probably either use different materials like clay or paper mache. We will also shape the figure of the bone almost, if not perfectly identical to the actual bone. Keep in mind that even though our bone models may not completely replicate the ulna and radius in shape and figure, we went for an approach that successfully completed the test and were close in capability of the actual bone and durability and toughness.